name is Angela and I am so excited to be heading back to Europe for another trip. This time I'm going to be heading over to Europe for 10 days for a fun little trip with my best friend Katie. We're first going to be flying to Edinburgh and doing a little bit of exploring in Scotland. Then we're going to head over to London for a few days and then finally head over to Amsterdam for a few days, where we are going to go see Taylor Swift in concert at her Eras tour, which I am so excited about. I've been to Europe so many times before, but I've never been to Edinburgh, so I'm very excited to take you along with me for our entire journey. In this vlog, I'm just going to be showing you Scotland, but I will take you along with me in the future vlogs to go to London and Amsterdam as well, so make sure to stay tuned for all of that. But without further ado, let's head over to the airport.
After meeting up with my best friend Katie, we flew over to the Edinburgh airport and then took the tram to the city centre. The two-way return ticket for the tram was £9.50 and it took around 45 minutes to get to our stop at McDonald Road. We also passed the big Murrayfield Stadium, which is where Taylor Swift performed her concert a few weeks before we arrived. Once we got off at McDonald Road Station, we walked over to the Edinburgh Central Youth Hostel, which is where we were staying for the first night of our trip. The room wasn't ready yet when we arrived, so we just dropped off our luggage and then head out to explore Edinburgh's city centre. We first walked through the new town down Lee Street and passed by the St. James Quarter shopping centre, and since we arrived pretty early in the day and were very hungry, we head over to the Edinburgh Larder on Blackfriars Street to try their very famous brunch. When we arrived, the Edinburgh Larder's main location was already fully booked. However, they do have a sister restaurant right next door called the Little Larder, which does walk-ins only, so we were able to get a spot there. The Little Larder basically serves the exact same menu as the main restaurant, but they serve all of their food in these cute little metal bento boxes. And so we tried two of their dishes, their full Scottish breakfast and their hash, which were both super delicious. You can tell that the ingredients were all very high quality, and we got to try haggis for the first time, which is a Scottish delicacy that is made of different parts of a lamb mixed with oats, onions, and different spices. Honestly, I was very scared to try it at first because I googled what was in it, but after trying it, it wasn't bad. So that was our first meal in Scotland, and it was definitely not cheap, but really delicious. Afterwards, we walked down the Royal Mile and checked out this cute makers market in this old church building where artists from all over Scotland come to sell their handiwork. Afterwards, we walked down Cockburn Street, which curves its way from the Royal Mile all the way to Market Street and has a bunch of cute tourist shops like this museum context shop, which sells all things Harry Potter related. As you'll see in the rest of this vlog, a lot of Scotland was the inspiration for the Harry Potter books and movies, so there is a lot of fun history in the city for Potterheads. After exploring the stores on Cockburn Street, we walked back to the Royal Mile and passed a couple of performers who were playing the bagpipes before we arrived at the St. Giles Cathedral, which was the starting point for our free walking tour that I booked through Guru Walk. We did the Edinburgh Essentials tour, where our tour guide taught us all about Scottish history and culture as we visited some of the key attractions in the city, including City Hall, the Supreme Court, and the grave of John Knox. During our tour, we even stumbled upon a parade down the Royal Mile as they prepared for the King to arrive in Edinburgh for his visit. After watching the parade, we continued our tour and walked down beautiful Victoria Street, which is known as the street that inspired Diagon Alley in Harry Potter, and then we walked down to Grassmarket, which is the street with many famous pubs and a very rich history. Finally, we walked to our last stop of our tour, which was the Greyfriars Kirkyard, which is a famous graveyard for two main reasons. Firstly, it is the burial place of a little dog named Bobby who sat by his owner's grave for 14 years and melted the hearts of local residents so much that they even built a statue for him. And the second reason is because you can find the tombstones of many people whose names inspired those of Harry Potter characters, including Potter, McGonagall, Moody, Black, and even Tom Riddle. After our walking tour, we walked back over to Grass Market where we grabbed a delicious donut from the Kilted Donut and enjoyed the beautiful view of the Edinburgh Castle on the hill from below. Then we walked over to Maker's Mash Bar, which is a famous Scottish restaurant known for their variations on bangers and mash. Luckily, we made a reservation, so we skipped the super long line and got seated immediately, and then ordered the wild boar sausage in onion gravy and the slow-cooked lamb shank with 2 different types of mashed potatoes. The food was delicious and the portions were humongous, and we ended off our incredible meal with sticky toffee pudding, and then we walked past the National Galleries of Scotland, the Scott Monument, and through the St. James Quarter Shopping Centre on our way back to our hostel to check into our room.
Have arrived at our hostel and we just checked in. We're staying at the Edinburgh Central Youth Hostel. We're staying in a private room, so it has a private bathroom, which is great. And for some reason this week that we're here in Edinburgh, we were checking the prices and they were crazy high for accommodation for some reason. And then today during our walking tour, we found out that King Charles is going to be here in a few days, which is probably why everybody is in Edinburgh right now to try to see the King. So maybe we'll go see the King as well. I think he's going to be here on the last day that we're here, so we may go see that if we're here anyway. But I did want to show you around our hostel hotel room. This is the entrance. We're on the first floor. There is a washroom here, just your standard toilet. There's like a sink outside here as well. And then there is the shower room. I don't think they have any like shower supplies though, so I'm glad we brought those. There's some hooks and some hangers here. And then in our living area, we've got this little shelf. It really is giving like university dorm vibes, and we got 2 twin beds here. They also did give us towels with the room, and then if you need a hair dryer, they just require a cash deposit, so we just gave them $5. It's definitely not a fancy hotel by any means, but it'll do. And we're only staying here for one night because we're heading off for our tour of like northern Scotland starting tomorrow and for the next 3 days, and then we'll be back in the city, but we're gonna stay at an Airbnb for the last day, so we're really only here for one day. So we are just going to chill here for a bit. We're probably going to be super tired because we have not really slept for the past 24 hours. So we might just go to bed because we have to wake up pretty early tomorrow since we need to be at the tour starting point at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So it's going to be an early start and we need to get some sleep and hopefully not let jet lag affect us. So I will catch you a little bit later. Morning, it is day 2 of our time here in Scotland. Aside from getting woken up at 2 a.m. because of a fire alarm, the rest of our stay was nice. Like the room is pretty spacious, very clean, everything was good. But yeah, we are heading out super early today. It's about 7 a.m. and we are just getting ready for our day. We have to be at the start of the tour in town at 8:15 a.m. today to go check in and then board the bus and all of that. So excited to take you along with us. It's a 3-day tour that we booked online through Haggis Adventures. I'll let you know how it goes.
We took the bus into the city center and then grabbed a quick breakfast from Black Sheep Coffee, which is a popular chain in the UK. I got a ham and cheese toastie and tried their blueberry matcha latte, which was pretty decent. And then we went to check in for our tour at Haggis Adventures. We met our lovely tour guide and driver Rich, and we boarded our beautiful bright yellow bus as we drove out of the city. Our first stop was a small town called Dunkeld, which sits on the banks of the River Tay. We got to explore the quaint little town and its cathedral, as well as grab a quick sausage roll from Livy's little lunchbox. Then we drove to the Hermitage and got to enjoy the beautiful, picturesque stretch of forest with a lovely little waterfall and towering Douglas fir trees. Our next stop was the Blair Athol Distillery in Pitlochry, where one of their knowledgeable guides taught us all about the history of the distillery, as well as the process it takes to create their single malt whiskey, all the way from grain to the glass. We ended the tour with a whiskey tasting, of course, and got to sample some of their incredible whiskeys and even take home a little souvenir. Afterwards, we stopped in Pitlochry to grab a quick lunch at Greg's, and then we drove over to the next stop, which was the Culloden battlefield, which is the site of the bloody last battle of the Jacobite Rising. Our tour guide Rich taught us all about the history of the Jacobite Risings in this final battle as we toured the battlefield. Next, we drove to check out the Clava Cairns, which are the remains of an ancient cemetery that is about 4,000 years old and provides many clues to the beliefs in the Bronze Age. Finally, we drove to Morag's Lodge, our hostel in Fort Augustus that we stayed at for 2 nights as part of our tour package, and some of our fellow tour mates chose to eat dinner at the hostel, but we wanted to try a restaurant in town, so we went to the Bothy for dinner, and we ordered their fish and chips and their homemade steak pie, which were both really tasty. And then after dinner, we walked to the end of the river to see the famous Loch Ness, which is home to the Loch Ness Monster, affectionately known as Nessie.
We are back at our hostel. We asked if we could get a private room because 2 of the other girls on our tour got a private room, but it wasn't like an option when we booked. So then we asked again, and the lady at the front desk got us a private room that we don't even have to pay extra for because it's technically not a private room. Like, it's still a dorm, but nobody's staying here with us. We have 2 sets of bunk beds, and then let me show you the washroom. There's also like a couch so we can even put our stuff in, which there wasn't in the other room that we were in. This is the bathroom, so toilet on that side. I haven't even seen this yet, but oh, nice. It's a big shower. Fabulous. This is lovely. We're gonna get unpacked and then we had dinner in town. We checked out the beautiful view. It was nice. We're probably gonna shower and chill for a bit before we go to bed, but I'll see you in the morning.
The next morning, it was unfortunately raining, so our first stop of the day was at Trees for Life, where we learned about this nonprofit's dedication to rewilding the Scottish Highlands. Afterwards, as we were driving away, we stumbled upon our first sighting of Highland cattle, also known by the Scots as Heady Coos, and so our amazing tour guide Rich gave us some time to take lots of pictures with these adorable creatures. Then we continued driving up to the Isle of Skye, which is a large island in the north of Scotland that offers some of Scotland's most spectacular scenery. Our first stop in Skye was the grave of famous Scottish fashion designer Alexander McQueen at the Kilmore Cemetery. We also saw the grave of Flora MacDonald, who is famous for helping Bonnie Prince Charlie escape from Scotland after the Battle of Culloden. We continued driving along the beautiful coastline and stopped at Kilt Rock to take some photos with the waterfall before continuing our drive towards the Old Man of Store, which is a circular hiking trail with beautiful views. Luckily for us, the clouds and rain cleared up just as we pulled up, so we got to hike the trail and enjoy some blue skies. The views from the top were absolutely stunning, and I would highly recommend checking out this trail if you're able to. Our next stop after the trail was the famous Donan Castle, which is recognized as one of the most iconic images of Scotland all over the world. Situated on an island where 3 great sea lochs meet and surrounded by some majestic scenery, it is no wonder that this castle is one of the most visited and important attractions in the Scottish Highlands. Afterwards, we drove all the way back to Fort Augustus for the night, and for dinner, Katie and I went to the Boathouse Lochside restaurant. We ended up ordering the fish and chips and the steak pie again, and we enjoyed the views of Loch Ness from the window.
Hello, good morning. It is day 4 of our time here in Scotland and our last day of our tour. We just packed up and we are ready to check out of our hostel, and we're going to be heading back onto our bus for our last day. We're going to be heading back to Edinburgh today, but we're going to be passing a whole bunch of sites, so I'll take you along for all of those. I'm very excited to check out the railway that they filmed Harry Potter on and see what else there is on our way back to Edinburgh today. We are about to head out. We got to just grab our linens and stuff and chuck them downstairs, but it's been a great stay at Morag's Lodge and excited to head back to Edinburgh tonight. We're staying at an Airbnb that we booked, and then tomorrow we have our flight over to London. So far it's been a great time here in Scotland. It's cold, but we have lots of layers for that, so bringing out the hoodies and the sweaters and all of that. Man, we met some cool people so far, so I will catch you a little bit later and take you along with us for day number 4.
So we boarded our bus and drove to our first stop of the day, which was to see the Jacobite steam train, also known as the Hogwarts Express, at the Fort William train station. This train is famous because the steam engine and some of the train carriages are those used in the Harry Potter films. They even have a little Harry Potter gift shop on board that you can buy Harry Potter related souvenirs from. After seeing the train up close, we drove about 30 minutes to our next stop of the day, which was the Glenfinnan Viaduct, which is a 21-arch bridge made famous by the Harry Potter movies. Our lovely tour guide made sure to time it so that we got to witness the train coming by and sounding its whistle, which is truly a magical experience, especially for Harry Potter fans. The next stop of our tour was the viewpoint for the Three Sisters of Glencoe, which is a beautiful mountain range in the Scottish Highlands. We stopped to take some photos and enjoyed the music of the bagpiper who was performing there. Afterwards, we kept driving until we reached the Green Welly stop, where we stopped for a quick break and some lunch at their self-service restaurant. Our tour guide, Rich, recommended that we try their famous Cullen Skink, which is their best-selling soup that's made of smoked haddock, onions, potatoes, fish stock, and cream. It was truly delicious. We also tried their mac and cheese, which is a bit too dry, but their scone and their loaded baked potato were really yummy. The next stop may have been my absolute favorite of the whole trip because we went to Trossachs Woolen Mill to meet Hamish, Honey, and Holly, 3 beautiful Highland cows. We even got to feed them some carrots, potatoes, and turnips, which was truly the highlight of my trip. These gentle giants are so adorable, and I'm so glad we got to see them up close and personal twice during our tour. Our last stop of the entire tour before getting dropped back off in Edinburgh was to see the Kelpies at the Helix, which are a pair of huge steel horsehead sculptures that symbolize mythological creatures from Scottish folklore.
Hello, we have just arrived back in Edinburgh. We are in our Airbnb where we're going to be staying for the last night of our trip. Our bus tour just ended. We saw a bunch of cool things today, including seeing some more Harry Coos, which I'm so happy about. We also got to see like the Kelpies, and highly recommend checking out Haggett's Adventures for their 3-day Skye and Loch Ness tour. I think that's what it's called. Our tour guide was Rich and he was fabulous. He's so knowledgeable. He is a true local and like knows every single thing about everything, which was awesome. So definitely highly recommend doing that tour if you have time when you're in Scotland. We just pulled up to our Airbnb for our last night here in Edinburgh. We're flying out to London tomorrow, so just one more night here, and then tomorrow we're heading out about 4 p.m. is our flight, so we'll have the morning and a little bit of the day to do a little bit more exploring in Edinburgh. So I'll bring you along for all of that, but just wanted to show you our lovely Airbnb that we're staying in right now. This is the room that we're in. It's so nice. We got a washroom back there, and it's just a room in an apartment, so it's not the entire apartment. It's so lovely, and our host picked us up from the front door and gave us the tour, and he's so sweet. So really excited to stay here. It looks super comfy and cozy, and it has a beautiful view. Let me show you the gorgeous view from outside. And on the other side, there's a balcony where you can see the castle from. We're just dropping our stuff off, getting settled, and then we're gonna go grab some dinner because we are super hungry, and we'll probably head back into town for that. We're a little bit outside of like the city center area, but I'll take you along with us for our dinner.
For dinner, we went to the World's End, which is a traditional Scottish pub on Edinburgh's historic Royal Mile. We ordered some cocktails and got the burger and the mussels, which were nothing special, but tasty nonetheless. Afterwards, we walked around the main town area and saw the Elephant House Cafe, which is allegedly where J.K. Rowling wrote the Harry Potter books. We also walked down to Grassmarket, hoping to try the lively pubs, but they were weirdly quiet that night, so we just head back to our Airbnb.
Morning, it is our 5th and final day here in Scotland. We are about to head out this morning to head back into town for one last time. It's crazy because King Charles is in town yesterday and today, so we ended up being here at the same time as him, which is probably why our accommodations were so pricey. So we figured we might as well go and try to catch him in town. I think he's going to be at St. Giles Cathedral today, which is right in the city center, which is where we started our tour from on day 1. So we're going to go try to catch him, see if we can get a glimpse of him or whatever the parade or whatever that's going on. We saw all the barriers that were put up yesterday, so it looks like a lot of people are probably going to show up to try to catch a glimpse of the king as well. So we'll see if we can see him. If not, we'll probably just end up walking around the city center for a little bit. It is currently 8 a.m. We're about to head out for a few hours, and then our flight is later today at 4 p.m. So we're going to try to get back to our Airbnb to grab our stuff around 1 and then head over and take the tram back to the airport. Since we bought a return ticket, we're going to head out, and I will bring you along with us for our our last day here in Scotland.
Since our Airbnb was a little bit outside of the city, we took a bus to the Royal Mile, which was all blocked off for the royal family's drive to St. Giles Cathedral. We walked around and found many people dressed up for the ceremony, and since it wasn't beginning for a while, we stopped at Southern Cross Cafe to grab a quick breakfast before heading back to the Royal Mile to get a spot to see the royal family. As they drove down the Royal Mile, we got to see and wave to King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince Edward, Sophie Duchess of Edinburgh, and even Prince William in their cars as they drove towards St. Giles Cathedral for thistle service. Wasn't expecting to see the royal family in Scotland, but definitely a pleasant surprise. After seeing the royal family, we walked over to St. Andrew's Square in the new town to grab lunch/brunch at Dishoom Edinburgh, which is a famous chain of Bombay-inspired restaurants in the UK. We got their delicious house chai and ordered the Big Bombay and sausage naan roll. This place is popular for a reason because everything was so delicious and the flavors were all just incredible. After this fantastic meal, we strolled along Princes Street and George Street, which had a bunch of different shops to explore before we went back to our Airbnb to grab our luggage and catch the tram back to the airport so that we could catch our flight to London.
Hello, it is much later in the day. We are now in London and we took a quick flight over from Edinburgh and we're going to be here for the next 2 days, so that will be in the next vlog, but I just want to wrap up this vlog and give you all of the key things that we've learned along the way. First things first, there is a decent amount of free Wi-Fi around Edinburgh. Ideally you get an eSIM or some SIM card that works all over Europe if you're doing a longer trip, but if you don't, you can kind of get away with going to different places for free Wi-Fi if you need to. Second thing is in terms of cash, we didn't really end up using very much cash. We only used it just for tipping, but aside from that, every single place took card, and actually most places were like cashless, fully just card payment only, which made things really easy. So we didn't end up using very much cash. When you take public transportation, you don't even need cash for that either, or buying a ticket, you can just hop onto the buses and it charges you £2 per ride, so it makes that super easy as well. Oh, you can drink the tap water there. We learned that along the way. It tastes really good. Their water there is actually really nice, especially like showering and stuff with their water. Very soft. Aside from that, it is cold. Even when we went, which was in July, it was like 10 degrees in the northern areas and like maybe 15 in Edinburgh, so make sure you pack for that. I didn't really pack well enough for the colder days, so I ended up just layering a bunch of my clothes on top of each other. But yeah, highly recommend checking out Scotland. It wasn't somewhere that I had heard a lot of things about, so I feel like it's a pretty underrated spot, and it was so beautiful, so much history. I really enjoyed my time in Scotland, and I will catch you in the next vlog. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more videos. My next ones will be in London and Amsterdam, so stick around for those, and I'll see you there. Bye!